lay next to her body and spend time with her body about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up, you know. I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week.
My sister came here today to visit because her and her husband were having issues. She came from Myrtle. She told him she'll be home on Tuesday. And he was texting me at this point saying, I'll be at your house at 12:55. I'm armed and ready, and I will keep you up all night. I'm going to get her back. There are no trespassing signs up. You cannot threaten weapons. He has 6 guns that he's just purchased recently. And he's saying, I'm armed and ready. I'm coming to get her.
In the wee hours, it was sent at 1:11 a.m. And it says, John Paul says he's loaded Mica's possessions into garbage bags and is threatening to either dump them on the sister's property or take them to the Goodwill.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody, where we cover true crime, mystery to the missing. If you're unfamiliar with Mica Miller's story, please check out this video. The link is in the top right hand corner and also in the description. Mica Miller, who is just 30 years old, sadly took her life on April 27th, where she drove to the Lumber River State Park with a heavily wooded area and sadly shot herself in the head. Many believe this was due to this guy right here, former pastor John Paul Miller, her former husband, who allegedly groomed her since she was a teenager, physically and mentally tortured her by slashing her tires, posting nude photos on social media, had her followed by PIs, put multiple tracking devices on her vehicles, and so much more. He is now reportedly being investigated by the FBI. And considering Mica's family has been adamant that even if JP Miller didn't pull the trigger himself, he certainly pushed her over the edge. Before Mica's family could even see her body at the morgue, John Miller forced them to sign a waiver which allowed Miller to cremate Mica's body. If the family didn't sign the waiver, they couldn't see her body. This was absolutely devastating to the family and huge red flags, which meant there was no official autopsy or toxicology report done. Recently, her father came on News Nation where he dropped some shocking information. One of those is where he spoke about seeing her body at the morgue, and he claimed that she had bruises on her hand and injuries on her arm.
I mean, my theory is broad right now. There's bruises on her hand. There's injury to her other arm, like a handprint, and these things were not documented, and they did not show up for no reason. And
we recently did a live show where we were looking for any bruising on Mica's hands, since she was caught on the camera at the pawn shop where we could get a good shot of both of her hands. And I also did some AI enhancement, but could not see any bruising on either hand. It's certainly possible that she acquired these bruises and injuries to her arm at the state park where she took her life. There's even some that believe she didn't commit this act alone and somebody had forced her, and these injuries could have came from that. Recently, while the family was conducting their funeral, the sick and twisted John Miller was conducting one of his own at the Solid Rock Church, where he had shared some disturbing statements.
To her body and spend time with her body about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up, you know. I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week. And
John Miller claimed that he had made numerous trips to the morgue where Mica's body was resting and supposedly tried to raise her from the dead. This got me wondering, did this so-called handprint and injuries on Mica's arm come from John Miller himself at the morgue? You could only imagine he must have known with her death his secrets would come to light, as they have, and he would be very upset with her and perhaps mistreated her body while he was there. And this so-called raising her from the dead was him admitting to mishandling her body. Of course, this is just theory, and I must note that it's nearly impossible to get bruises after death as the heart is not pumping anymore. But I do wonder if the injuries on her arm were caused post-mortem. Of course, we'll continue to report on this story. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.